Hi guys, today I'm sharing a fun thrift store side table makeover for you. I'm using a color that I wouldn't have expected to use. This post is sponsored by Dixie, Belle, and I'm showcasing one of their colors from the National Park collection. And be sure to stay to the end because I have a fun giveaway surprise for you. So just let me get set up and I'll be right back. Let's start. Here's the fun part. I found these side tables selling at my local thrift store for $14.99 each. So I must be getting thrifty. I thought $14.99 for both of them, great. $14.99 each, I'm not so sure. I ended up posting them to Facebook and all of you encouraged me to get them. So thank you so much. And I have to admit, I like them even better when I brought them home. The only thing I wasn't happy with was a little chip on the corner of one of the glass tops. And I didn't notice it in the store, so it may have happened when I actually loaded it into my car. Other than that little chip, these tables were in awesome condition. So I started by removing the price tags with my heat gun. Someone mentioned on Facebook that they wish thrift stores would stop putting the price tags on the wood pieces. And sometimes they are difficult to get off, but a little bit of heat always makes it so much easier. If you don't have a heat gun, a hair blower or hair dryer works just as well. I wanted to be extra careful removing the glass. So a tip when you're removing glass from a tabletop or side tables, etc., is to push it up from the bottom. I know this probably sounds simplistic or common logic, but well, maybe it's just me. I never used to do that. I used to try getting it up by prying it up from the top. But yeah, if it's not secured in there with anything, just push up the glass from the bottom and it comes up so much easier. Once I had the glass removed and I put it in another room for safekeeping, and this is hilarious because I have another oopsie at the end of this video. So yeah, the game plan totally changed on these tables, but make sure you keep your glass in a very safe area. Anyways, once I had the glass out of the way, it was time to give it a really good cleaning with white lightning. I think it's time for me to purchase a new spray bottle because the nozzle wasn't spraying properly. I probably have to swap this out. But regardless, I made sure to get into all the crevices with the sponge and make sure to clean these little tables up really nicely. After the tables were 100% dry, it was time to give them a scuff sanding. And I had a comment on last week's YouTube video from Jane, and she mentioned that she loved seeing the hand sanding because not everyone has a sander and or wants to invest in a new sander. And I love getting these comments and input. So thank you, Jane, and everyone listening, keep them coming because it really gives me different ideas for the videos. So it encouraged me to scuff sand these tables by hand. And I used a sanding pad. It's a general purpose Mastercraft, which I got from Canadian Tire, and it's coarse. So any sanding pad will work. But what I do is I wipe all the wood surfaces down using a similar action to wiping down my kitchen counters. I know that's a funny way of describing it, but I think a lot of people think a lot of effort has to go into hand sanding, and that's just not the case. If you're just doing a scuff on the wood, not much more pressure is needed than this. So I go over each area until I see the finish on the furniture is scuffed up and slightly dusty. Then I wipe all the dust off with a tack cloth and it's ready for primer or paint. To scuff down both of these side tables took under, I'd say about 10 or 12 minutes. It doesn't take as long as you might think either. Another tip when hand sanding, or what I like to do, is utilize the corners of my sanding pad and or sandpaper. And I really use the corners to get into the corners of my furniture or any lip on the furniture or grooves. And it's very, very helpful. It fits in very nicely and you'll get a scuff sanding over 100% of your piece. Another tip for hand scuff sanding, which I often sometimes forget to do, is if your piece is small enough, place it on a work table or place it on top of something so you don't have to bend over the piece the entire time. If you can save your back some strain, it's also a good thing to do. After both tables were hand scuff sanded, I brought it back into my paint room and made sure to clean off all the dust using a tack cloth. Now for the fun part. I used a new to me color called Yellowstone, which is part of the Silk All-in-One Mineral Paint National Park Collection. Any of you that have been following me for a while know that I love painting with this silk paint because it has the built-in primer and the built-in top coat included. So for me, it's a huge time saver. Another bonus is it has awesome coverage and I very much enjoy brushing with it, but I equally enjoy spraying with it. So I love it for its versatility and the time-saving aspect. I flipped the table over onto its top and I started applying the first coat with my 2-inch brush. I like keeping my water bottle mister on hand simply because this paint is very thick. It has awesome coverage. So I actually like giving my paintbrush a tiny mist of water before I dip it in and start painting with it. It just makes it glide on all the smoother. And check out this color. It is, I'm not gonna lie, a little out of my comfort zone because it is bold. But I have to say, painting with these fun colors just puts a big smile on my face. And for me, switching out the colors or the techniques or the type of furniture, it just keeps me so interested in this craft. Because if I was to do the same colors or the same type of furniture over and over again, personally, I get very, very bored. So I do like stretching my wings and trying out different things here and there because it keeps it fun and exciting for me. After the base was all painted, I went ahead and flipped it onto its legs and started on the top. And because it was sitting on its top, I did grab that tack cloth and make sure I gave it a really nice wipe before I started painting. While painting, I made sure to use the tip of the paintbrush to get into the crevices and the lip on these tables. And as you can see, you have probably a good 5 minutes of open time for this silk all-in-one mineral paint. So I often just get it on the piece any which way. And then after the paint is on, I end up going back and smoothing everything out really nicely. And here's what the first coat of Yellowstone looked like on this side table. It's not pretty. I call this the ugly phase or the scary phase. And I just want to reassure anybody who's starting furniture painting or who's doing a project for their own home, don't be discouraged by what the first coat of paint looks like because it is often not a pretty sight, but just wait until you see what it looks like when the second coat goes on. So I let the side tables dry overnight and I came back the next morning, flipped them onto their top and started painting the second coat. Now we're getting somewhere. It's starting to look beautiful. And I know I already said this, but this color just puts a big smile on my face. It is just so cheerful. My original plan for these tables were to add cane meshing underneath the glass to give them a nice modern look. I had used the cane mesh on this makeover here, and I was excited to use it again. It really, really modernizes a piece. I went to the back room and grabbed the 2 glass pieces, the glass inserts, brought them back into my paint room and started giving them a really good cleaning with Windex and a shop cloth. And remember the oopsie that I mentioned at the beginning of this video? Well, here it comes. I ended up using a painter's tool to scrape off some crud that was on one of the panels, and this glass was so brittle. Oh, shoot. Ah! Now I was left with the tiny chip that I either did not see in the thrift store or I created when I loaded the piece, and this new chipped corner. So now it was on to plan B. These side tables will not be being sold. I refuse to sell side tables with chips on them. Anybody could scratch themselves, cut themselves, etc. So it was just going to be a lesson in creativity. So for the blog post, I thought, what can I do differently that will distract from these 2 chipped corners? And I came up with this transfer idea. I vacuumed up all the little chips of glass to make it a safe working area again. I cleaned the other side of these glass panels with Windex and a shop towel. And then I pulled out this fun Latin floral transfer. Check out these vibrant colors. I thought it would pair perfectly with the Yellowstone. To apply transfers onto glass is really simple. You just pull off the backing. You place the transfer exactly where you want it to be. So I placed it on the glass panel and I just eyeballed it, making sure it was centered nicely. Once I had it in place, I used my hands to adhere it to the glass. And then using the applicator that comes in the tube with the transfer, I started rubbing it onto the glass. I find it easier to hold up part of the Mylar sheet and then rub with the applicator and kind of pull at the same time. I hope that makes sense. And then I just keep on double checking that everything is adhering 100%. If you find that you're pulling it up and a little piece is not adhering, you can just put that sheet right back down, lay it right back down and start rubbing a little bit more and it'll come off perfectly. And check this out. Doesn't it look good on the glass? I think it looks awesome. Now, someone on the SI blog asked me how you would clean this if you put a transfer on top of glass. As I mentioned, I am not going to be selling this set, and a table is a high traffic item unless you're going to use it just to house a plant or some sort of knickknack on top. But if you're actually planning on using it as a side table and to put, say, a wet glass on top of it or some hot plates, I would not suggest using transfers on high traffic items. If it's a mirror, that's perfectly fine because that's decoration. If it's a table that will be a little decor table and you're not going to be using it so much, that's all right as well. But if you're going to be using a transfer on a high traffic table that is going to need a wipe down every day, I do not suggest doing this. Someone also asked me what I would use to top coat this transfer on the glass. And when you're putting a transfer either on glass or mirror, it is not recommended that you top coat it at all. And to clean it for a decor piece, you would just take a soft damp cloth and give it a light wipe down. Or you could put a tiny little bit of Windex or window cleaner onto your cloth and give it a soft rub down as well. This works very well to clean decor pieces. I went ahead and I added a transfer to the other glass insert. And once I had the second one all placed and rubbed on, it was time to see what these glass inserts looked like in the table. These are just so darn cheery and cute. So just as a reminder, here's the before and here's the after. And I really hope this makeover has put a smile on your face just as it has mine. So to make this super easy for you to participate in the giveaway, I've included the links in the description box, see more, down below. You just click on the link and all the instructions on how to enter this giveaway is included in the blog post and again, the description box down below. So I hope you enter. Good luck. I wish you all the luck in the winnings. There's 6 chances to win. So I mean, those are darn good odds. And I will see you again next week. Thank you so much for joining, and I will talk to you again soon. Bye, guys.